Could you hear me last week? If you couldn't, or if you just don't know who I was talking about last week, I was talking about the Beverly Jenkins, and she is one of my favorite authors, like I said last week. This week I am coming to you from in front of where the oldest black weekly newspaper is produced in Norfolk, Virginia. And the paper's name is the New Journal and Guide. I am coming to you from this location because the woman I am going to talk about today was a writer and an author for newspapers. I'm noticing the trend here. All the women I've talked about this week or this month have been writers and journalists and authors like somebody else I know. Anyway, let's get to who I will talk about this week. She was born in Mississippi, and died in Chicago on March 25th, which is coming up. She worked as a teacher to support her siblings after her parents and infant brother died of yellow fever. She co-owned and wrote in newspapers. She documented lynchings in her writings in nationally black-owned newspapers, and for doing so, her newspaper office and presses were destroyed by a white mob. She was active in women's rights, most notably the suffrage rights movement. She was a skilled orator, praised by the Frederick Douglass. Although excluded from the original list, she was one of the founders of the NAACP. She was an active member of the National Equal Rights League, serving as its president of the Chicago branch. She was also active in the National Women's Club movement. And in 1893, she organized the Women's Era Club, one of the first civic clubs for African American women in Chicago. She was one of the founders of the National Association for Colored Women's Club. She also helped organize the National Afro-American Council, serving as its first secretary. And back in my heyday, when I was younger, I was the secretary of a ministry at my church, the youth ministry, as a matter of fact. Her house is a National Historic Landmark in Chicago. There is a life-size statue of her in Memphis, near where she produced one of her newspapers. And speaking of a life-size statue of her, here's I would say a miniature-size doll of her liking that just came out, I believe this year or the end of last year, by Barbie. And in 2021, she received a Pulitzer Prize speech citation for her reporting on the vicious acts against African Americans in her day. Just last year in Chicago, they erected a monument in her honor. Who is she? Who is she? Let me know if you know. Put it in the comments. Also this week, I want to let you know that you made it. We made it. What are you talking about, Rashon? We made it. It is 2 years, just over 2 years since the pandemic began. At this point, 2 years ago, we were in its infancy, just a couple of days into the effects. I know in my life, it was a couple of days in. But we made it. We made it. We made it. We made it. I know there has been a lot of loss. Prayers continue to go out to those families that lost family members, not just from COVID, from just different things in life. And there hasn't also been physical death. There may have been death of relationships because of the way of life, because it's been crazy. It's been crazy. It's been a crazy last 2 years. But all in all, we made it. We made it. We made it. We made it. And we made it. If you're watching this, you made it, we made it, I made it, because we still have something to do, something that God wants us to do. Do you know what it is? I hope you find out. So enjoy the rest of your day, enjoy the rest of your week. Be the daylight in someone else's life, and enjoy the daylight in yours. And let me know if you know who I was talking about this week. Turn into next week to see who I'm going to talk about for the last Tuesday of Women's History Month. See you later.